I just don't know how he's going to take it.
It's pretty bad.
We'll just have to wait and see. Hey Dave.
Hey guys, how's it doing?
We got some bad news. The footage, it's gone.
What footage?
For the 3-colour challenge.
Oh my god! I don't know what that is.
You know, the one that Rob made the really cool randomization program for?
Yeah, it was a Patreon voted video and we spent a lot of time on it.
Oh yeah, that was the one that was sponsored by Hero Forged. I love that intro. Gareth filmed it and everything. It was really dynamic and exciting and interesting. Do we still have the colour pick footage, the screen recording?
Yep.
Alright Jen, it's your turn. You ready? Somber Grey, Camouflage Green and Plague Brown. That's not a bad collection. Okay, it's a bad collection. Alright, I'm gonna pick my colours. Here we go. Heavy Violet, Magic Blue and Desert Yellow. It's a lot of blue, a lot of cool tones. Murray, good luck. Do it.
Oh.
Scrofulous Brown, Heavy Ochre and Imperial Blue.
Well, it makes green at least.
So what do we do now? How do we replace the intro?
Maybe we could film something like vlog style, really guerrilla style. We don't have time and Gareth's too busy to film another one. You just like grab the vlog camera, come up to the boardroom, film some like kind of fake out intro.
Sounds good. I was elected to design all 3 characters for our challenge. I've used Hero Forge for a few years now, and I really like how you can take a simple pose and really elevate it with some advanced posing and features. Jen wanted something earthy and woodland based, and one of the available species is a frog person. So together with some shaman aesthetics and a wooden staff, her character was already coming together. Dave specifically requested a trench coat for his cat person, and I tried to get a dynamic pose to suggest the adventurer was questing. My own colours stumped me for a while as they range from a cold and deep blue to some very muted ochre colours. However, my brain came up with a quirky concept of a Shakespearean depiction of a robot holding aloft a skull, pondering the meaning of life. With the designs completed, it was time to get them printed. Taking the printed models, I carefully cut with clippers around the most fragile areas that I really did not want to have break on me. Then was a fairly easy procedure of tearing away the supports.
Once I had everything ready, it was time to begin. I decided to paint it, well, green because it's a frog. I thought this was a good place to start really from anywhere. I then started putting down just some base colors just to refine the model and kind of get an idea of what colors should be what and what shadows I wanted to put into it too. When painting my froggy skin, I wanted to ensure that there were lots of color and depth put into it. It was really the feature part of this model and I wanted to make it look alive. Once I had my base colors painted, I just went over again and again, just really deepening the crevices and making sure those highlights stood out. It was important to make sure that the colors stood against each other and didn't get made into a muddy mess. This was extremely difficult to do as the colors kind of had the same tonal range. I didn't have a particularly bright color, so it kind of made things a bit difficult for me. But I pushed through, making sure that contrast was a strong point in this model to help with the saturation that I lacked in colors. I really like some of the smaller features that Mari has put into this model, like the little leaves on the chest or the little bag on his belt. The eyes were probably my favorite part, so I definitely left them till last. I went about picking out this grassy sort of flock that had some rocks in it too. Wasn't particularly fond of the rocks, but the grass was an absolute winner. After that, I picked out some flowers. I went for a range of colors, yellow, orange, and pink, just to kind of give it like a druidy feel, like that this frog was magical and could make anything sprout out of the ground. As per usual, we have a rule of usually put 3 things on a base, so I put some rocks on too, just to really complete the look. A final trim of black around the base, and my beautiful froggy friend was done. The colours that I got were, while worked well, I would have really loved to have had a red colour. I got a yellow and a kind of grey blue, so I had 2 of my primary colours, but I was missing red. This kind of made it a little bit difficult to have some contrast in terms of colours. That all being said, I really enjoyed this project. It was fun just to sit down and paint a model and just to have it done and look to a standard that I'm actually really happy with.
I wanted to take a moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Hero Forge. Hero Forge is an online model creating tool that allows you to customize and create from dozens of races and thousands of different parts your perfect tabletop miniature. Their Color 2.0 technology allows you to fully color your model in browser, including war paint, tattoos, makeup, and more. One of the things I really appreciate about Hero Forge is that while they have this extensive library of thousands of gear options, they are adding more every single week. I personally follow their socials so I can see those new items of gear as they're uploaded, because I never know when a new thing is going to be the inspiration for a new D&D character for me. Now I want to show you some of the really cool features of Hero Forge and some of the things you can do, but it'll be easier if we just dive in there and take a look. Wow! Now I'm in Hero Forge and I can see all the awesome options available to me. Over here, there are all the different ways you can customize your model, from the species up the top where you can add little bits and bobs from wings to tails, down through all the different varieties of gear, clothes, weapons to create your ideal hero. There are multiple ways that you can get your Hero Forge models, from full color printed plastic all the way up to bronze for those special collector's pieces. If you have a 3D printer instead, perhaps you could buy the STLs. Personally, I find myself customizing heaps of models in Hero Forge, buying the STLs and printing them on my home printer for my games of Dungeons and Dragons. My adventuring party have always done the same, and we've always had great models with cool dynamic poses that perfectly capture everything my players want in their characters. Now, if you go to www.heroforge.com, you too can dive in and create something awesome. Maybe make your very own Dave. In fact, make your very own Dave. Let's see what you can do. Tweet us or something. Now, grabbing the model that Murray had made for me, I was immediately concerned. There are just so many elements, and I have 3 colors. Now, I guess with this daunting mission, the thing that made me happy was at least my model looked a little bit like my character from Final Fantasy XIV. So, I mean, that was neat, I guess. I put my 3 colors down on a palette and began to just splash around and mix different tones. I'd been very hopeful from the swatch that the blue would be a really majestic and regal deep blue, an imperial blue for a greatcoat. But unfortunately, the paint and the swatch were 2 very different things, and I was left with this exceedingly bright and personally not all that exciting blue. Purple being a mix of blue and red, I was quite hopeful that there'd be a lot of warmth in the purple, but the purple I got was so blue toned and so desaturated and devoid of any warmth that my color mixing swiftly took away any hope I had that my purple would give me any warmth. I started painting my model by just slapping on base coats to every area. We were trying to keep it to this same amount of time painting the models, which meant that I wanted to quickly establish colors everywhere, so if I ran out of time, I wouldn't be left with areas unpainted. I stuck with my original thought for when I had passed the concept on to Murray for a blue coat with purple accents, although of course looking at it, it didn't feel nearly like what I had wanted it to. With the sword, my only options was to use the blacks and the whites that we'd gotten to get greys, and I could at least do some metal with grey and black. Pants I chose to almost paint like jeans, and the shirt a simple white shirt. With black and white, the brown leather on the boots and the belts was pretty easy to establish. However, the skin was where I encountered the most difficulty in the entire project. Devoid of warmth and attempting to get a skin tone with blues and purples left me with a rather undead or pallid looking character. Nothing I could do could get it out of that uncanny area. There is just no warmth to this skin. I tried adding various amounts of purple, various amounts of the sand color, but no combination of my colors was getting me anywhere near a skin tone I was happy with. I think dark skin tones would have been a much better way to get skin tone out of the colors that I had, but overall would have left the model feeling a little bit like the colors were running into each other. And this is the trouble with a limited palette, is that my sands and my gold non-metallic metals look a bit like the skin, the boots would have looked a bit like the skin. All the areas risk running into each other and looking very similar. Funnily enough, the easiest part of this paint job was the gold and black non-metallic metal, which I did in the fastest end of project rush ever. I think I probably spent maybe 2 minutes in total on the black non-metallic metal or the steel non-metallic metal, and not much longer on the gold. And at the end of my paint, I did my little turtle, taking advantage of the beautiful green I could blend by using the sandy color and the blue.
I decided to start my model off with an underpainting, a sort of dark sea green. When starting a painting project, I like to start with an underpainting, as it helps tie the colors between the environment and the figure itself. This was a painting challenge, so I decided to make things more difficult for myself and paint the robot in the non-metallic metal style. When painting non-metallic metal, I like to bounce between highlighting and shading, almost like I'm sculpting with clay, adding and subtracting until I find what I want. I try to keep some of the green underpainting towards the lower half of the model, giving the illusion that it's reflecting the wooden floorboards underneath. On the upper raised areas, I glazed in some pure blue to really pop that contrast. Having done the bulk of the model like that, all that is left now is to paint the skull and do spot highlights up to almost a pure white. Then to finish it off, I added a few more highlights to the wooden floorboards.
Okay, so we're done our 3-color challenge, and oh boy howdy did I learn a lot. Jen, how do you feel?
Look, I'm pretty impressed for what I did with the amount of time and the 3 colors, so I'm pretty proud of myself.
Murray?
I was pretty happy with what we came up with.
I gotta say, I felt like my model had so many goddamn elements to paint. I'm looking at yours and I'm like, I'm jealous. You've done a great job, both of you. So
Thanks.
You have to.
Have you had a good look at it? Have you actually looked at it?
I
Have a
actually
good
haven't
look.
seen this yet.
So I cheated, because I think you both cheated too.
How did you cheat?
So, how did I cheat?
Okay, so here's how you cheated. You ready for it?
Go on.
Murray cheated by making the perfect model to paint exactly non-metallic metal with for himself. And you cheated by putting on all these beautiful warm tufts which completely changed the color tone of the model.
That's true.
So I cheated by accusing them both of cheating and then actually cheating. I couldn't leave the skin looking like death because there was just no warmth. So I just got a little bit of Scale 75 Instant Alchemy and just put a little bit of a warm wash of skin tone over it. And it has made it look a lot better. So 3-color challenge is fun, but so is cheating.
If you're interested in making models like we did, try visiting heroforge.com. Links are in the description below.
And lastly, we want to thank our Patreons for all of their support. This video was chosen by you guys and we had so much fun doing it.
Absolutely, it was a very cool stretch of our little artistic talent. So at this point, we're just gonna keep doing we'll do a couple of little ending things and then the editor can just pick whichever one's the best awkward ending or best ending.
Can my frog take your cat boy in a battle? You ready?
At some point, this video is probably already ended.
Yeah. Bye, Ron.
I'm gonna disappear. With magic.